How to install Adobe Acrobat Reader on Pop! OS Linux 22.04 with the use of a program called Bottles. Okay, let's get started. Okay, here's my Pop! Installation 2204, okay? And I'm going to install Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is a Windows program, and it comes in a .exe file format, which doesn't run natively in a Linux environment. So we're going to have to use Bottles. It's a program that allows for .exe programs to run in like a containerized virtual environment that has Wine running in separate instances, and so you can have Adobe Acrobat in this case running on your Linux installation, not natively, but with the use of a compatibility layer called Wine. Okay, so here's my pop here. Otherwise, you'd have to use some kind of open source alternative and or the cloud or something like that. But a lot of people, they like to use Windows because of the power of the programs that are there. And then when they want to use Linux, and they really can't, because they can't really fully enjoy Linux because they can't run all the great Windows software. So it's a conundrum. But with Wine, with the advent of Wine and Proton and some other, I'm not sure of any other compatibility layers or programs or libraries or whatever they're called, runtime engines or whatever. Those are the only two that are really on my radar at this moment. So with the advent of those, it allows for running of Windows programs in a Linux environment. Okay. So today's program I'm gonna install is Adobe Acrobat Reader. It's a PDF reader. Okay. So here's my pop here. Now, first thing we're gonna do is check the downloads folder so I can show everybody that I don't have the Adobe Acrobat.exe file already downloaded into my download folder. So it's not here. When we're done, then it'll be here. We'll look for it in the A's, which will be up here. Okay. So for now, I'm going to clear out of there. I'm going to open my browser, Google Chrome, and I'm already on the page. You can navigate here once you start at the adobe.com start page and find your way to the download page here. Okay, Adobe Acrobat Reader, the most trusted free PDF viewer. It is free. There are I believe that there are premium versions of Reader that can do more than this base, this free version here. But this is pretty good. This is what I use to read my PDFs. If I ever get a PDF, this is what I fire up on my Windows, and I read my PDF file, whatever it might be. So this is good. Okay, so we come here, and then there's a couple of there's three drop-down arrows here. I got it working on my first attempt, and I'm just going to recreate that again because I know it works. At least it worked a couple times, and I'm hoping it'll work a third time here. So I'm going to select the OS. I'm just going to go with there's a bunch of other ones here. I'm just going to stick with Windows 10. So I'll go with Windows 10 there. And English is my language, not UK, but American English here. And the version I'm going to do is I think this last one here is probably 32-bit. So I'm going to go 64-bit because we live in a 64-bit world now. So I'm going to go with these three choices here, okay? And then I'm going to click on the download button here, and the browser will download this .exe file to the preferred location, which in this case is the download folder on my file system. Okay, and we can come over here and we can follow along. 5 minutes. So it's going to take a few minutes. So we'll pause the video and we'll be back. Okay, the download completed. Take about 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. So you can see it's all completed here. So I'm pretty much done with the browser for now. So I'll minimize that, and then You see, I'm already my working directory is already downloads. So I'm going to go ahead and do the ls command, and we're going to look for the .exe file that we just downloaded, and then here it is right at the top where I would expect for it to be. A little cryptic here. Acrobat, RDR, reader. I forgot what DC stood for. And then x64 is 64-bit. And then English, USA. And then of course the important factor is the .exe file, which is targeted for Windows systems. And normally this would not run natively in a Linux environment, but with the help of bottles, it should run. It should run with the help of wine. Okay, so we're good there. We have it downloaded. Okay, that's on the Adobe side. That's pretty much That's pretty much it to this point, or for the most part, I think. Once you download the exe file, you're pretty much done with the Adobe website. You confirmed it. And then we're going to go ahead and clear this and CD out of there, clear that. And I do have Wine installed here. I've got Wine 7.0.1. I got the Wine Engine 7 here. Now I'm not sure if it uses the locally installed Wine Engine or if it bundles it itself. That I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I'm not clear on that. But I have Wine installed locally just in case, just to cover that base. And you can also run programs. You can also run exe programs into the Wine engine here. I tried it actually with this file that I downloaded, and it faulted. It asked me for to install a mono package, which it said you could either do it yourself, which I didn't. I opted not to do that. I opted to let the system, Wine install the package for me. So it installed something called mono, and it still didn't work. It faulted. Maybe if I had done it differently, like if I had, it recommended a different package version of mono, and I didn't really feel like going that route at that moment. So I just let it download and install the mono package, and it didn't work. So, I'm sure this will run other programs, but for this one, it didn't. For the Acrobat reader, I couldn't get it to work here. So I bugged out of there, and I installed a program called Bottles. And I should make a video. I don't have a video on how to install it, but for now I'm just gonna use it, and you can either try it on your own, try to install it on your own, or I can always make a video sometime in the future on how to install Bottles. But for now I've already installed it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it. So I go to my application drawer here, scroll up to the B's, and here's Bottles here. Single click on that. Open Bottles. Okay. Pretty straightforward. I've already got it here. Actually, I should have deleted this already. Let me see if I can go ahead and just delete it, and then we're going to go ahead and just install it from scratch. So let me go ahead and uninstall this, and we'll start from scratch. Okay, so that bottle that I already had has been removed, uninstalled, deleted, whatever, and we have a clean slate here. So we're going to start right from the top, from scratch. I don't have anything in my library, so don't worry about that one too much at this point. Just click on the Bottles button up here. Right, so you don't want to be in this screen here, you want to be in the screen here, and get some information here. This is like global information. This is global information for all your bottles that apply to all bottles. And then once you create a bottle individually, then you could tweak that with individual specific tweaks for the individual bottle. This is for global, for everything. I don't remember. I just poked around. I didn't really make any changes here, but it's good to kind of poke around in here and get a little bit familiar. I didn't really do anything in here for the most part. I don't remember him doing anything in here and having to do anything to get it running the first time. So, yeah, I don't know. I need to look up this soda myself. Kind of new on my radar. But this is the one I used, I think. I didn't use System Wine. Actually, I used soda. Based on Valve's wine. Okay, so I need to look up what soda actually really is. But obviously, it's kind of a takeoff on wine. So it's good to look this up. I'm going to do that myself later, actually. So You could choose soda as a runner or wine as a runner. And I used soda and it worked, so I don't remember I bought it with wine actually. And that's pretty much about it. You see all the other things that you could kind of tweak here or whatever, runners that are installed. This is for legacy stuff, I think. It gets a little confusing, all the terminology and whatever. And then I didn't really do it. You got this DXVK, which is important too. I think I got one of them installed here. Anyway, we'll look at it once we get it all, get the bottle. Anyway, for the most part, I didn't really make any changes in the global preferences there. So once I was on the bottle start screen here, I went to the plus sign here to create a new bottle. Okay, pretty straightforward. We're in the name field, so I just did. I'm going to do a Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is what we're going to install. And this is the port. I don't know if people might overlook this or not. I didn't, but this is pretty cool. Didn't really deal too much with the custom stuff here. This is pretty cool here. Obviously, for gaming, you would select gaming here for a gaming environment. And Adobe Acrobat is obviously an application, so you want to make sure you select the application option here. Make sure this is gray here. Okay, that's good. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and create the bottle, and it's going to run through a bunch of processes, operations, and there's some output on the screen here. So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, bottle created. Didn't take too long. So you can see bottle created. Adobe Acrobat Reader was created successfully. This is the name of the bottle here. So click on that. Click off on that, and you can get to where you need to go to the next screen by a couple different ways. You could click on that, or you can click here. Actually, I'm sorry. This is the first step you need to take before you do anything else. You need to actually, let me show you here. Click on the gears here, so you can choose the exe file to actually run. So it even pops, a tip pops up here. Run.exe or run whatever .exe or .msi in this bottle. So it's going to browse your file system for what you want to run. Okay, so I'm in downloads here. This is the file that I wanted here in downloads. Okay, so I click on that and just click on run. Now it's going to go through this installation process here. And again, it'll take a few minutes. So you can see it's installing here. Might take a while. You can see the counter here. So we're going to pause it real quick, and then I'll be back once it completes. Okay, that step was completed. Then you get you're shown this screen here, more setup. You don't really have to make it your default. For me, whatever, I'll leave it checked right now to make it the default. So this other screen comes up once that initial setup is done. Then there's more installation setup procedures here. And again, I think this one goes actually a little bit faster. So these two steps essentially install the Windows executable into that bottle with a wine or a kind of a wine variant runtime engine already installed into that kind of like virtual environment or whatever it is. Okay, setup complete. You can read through here. Everything successfully installed Adobe Acrobat. Click Finish to exit the wizard. And then we're going to have to, accept some, there's a couple more screens here that are pretty simple. So I'm not going to launch now, but I'm going to go Finish here. Okay. And I think it stays on this screen right now. Okay. So we've created a bottle called Adobe Acrobat Reader. We poked around in the global preferences, but nothing needed to be done there. And we went here, we browsed our file system, and browse to that exe file, the Windows executable, to install into this bottle. Okay, so once that's done, you're on this screen. You're ready to actually go into the launcher screen here. And again, you can scroll down. I didn't really do anything down here. Legacy wine, I wouldn't worry about that. I didn't really make any changes here. No dependencies or anything like that. I didn't really add nothing. I just there's a lot here to digest, and I didn't really do anything there anyway, and it still worked. And this is like, these settings are for the individual bottle. Now I did go into here and look around, and there's some. You can scroll down. There's a lot of stuff here. I didn't make any changes. The two things I was really focused on, these two top ones here, the runner. Again, I used soda, which is like a variant of wine. I have to look up myself actually to find out exactly what that is. And then the drop down, you can also choose wine here. I'm going to go with soda because I know it works. I never tried the wine actually. Again, it's 701. I'm not sure if it's using my locally installed wine engine or if it's bundling its own, or if it bundles its own wine runtime here. But I went with soda for the runner, and I need to look this up here, and you can see that it's using this DXVK. I'm not sure, like a translation layer or whatever it is. I think DXVK might be like a Windows technology, and it gets translated into Vulkan, or maybe DXVK is like a compatibility or translation layer. Anyway, it's got this one right here. I just went with whatever the default there was. Okay, so check a couple settings there, poke around, and I went back, and then you're pretty much set to run it. Now there's a couple different ways of running the program. It's a little redundant if you ask me. I did look here. Again, I didn't really do anything here, so don't worry about the hamburger menu here. And of course, we don't want to add shortcuts or install anything at this point. We've already installed what we want. And then let's see, I clicked on this. Okay, nothing there for me to do. So basically, for me, it boiled down to run it this way or run it this way. They both pretty much do the same thing, I do believe. So once you've done everything to this point, I'm going to go ahead and I think when I did it before and it worked, it was with this button here. This one probably does the same thing. So click one of these arrows to run the executable, and then hopefully Adobe Acrobat will launch and we can go into the end user license agreement, and then it'll land us on the Adobe Reader page. So go ahead and launch Adobe Acrobat here. Okay, there's a couple more screens that we had to go through. Nothing to really get confused about. I did read it, and it defaults to the second option here. But I went with the first one here, open Acrobat with the app container disabled inside, because it says it can't run it can't run inside protected mode. So we're going to disable protected mode. So you don't want to go with the one that defaults to, but you want to go with this one here. Open Acrobat with the app container disabled inside protected mode, because Adobe Acrobat cannot open inside. It cannot open inside an app container in protected mode. So we want to disable protected mode. That's pretty much what this says here, I do believe. Open Acrobat with the app container disabled inside protected mode. Anyway, it sounds like it's disabling something else rather than disabling protected mode, but if you do this one here, then it won't run at all probably. So I would go this one here. So once you just let that one go okay on that, and there'll be, I think, another screen too that has to do with some running yeah, okay. Adobe Acrobat protected mode. Adobe Acrobat cannot open in protected mode due to incompatibility with your system configuration. Would you like to open Adobe Acrobat with the protected mode disabled? Yes. Yeah, we want to disable protected mode. Now, of course, it defaults to the one you don't want. Do not open with that disabled, that mode disabled. That's not the one we want. And you can either go always or just per session. I'm just going to go always open. You can choose one of these two at the top here, just for this one time or all the time for always open with protected mode disabled. Okay, so we're going to go with this middle one here. Otherwise, you can go with the top one here, but don't go with the bottom one here. One of these two. I'm going to go with this one in the middle always. Okay. So once we've done that one, you can click OK on that. And I think the next step was going to be some kind of an end user license agreement or something like that. Yep. Okay, here we go. which actually does. I don't really see the agreement here, which was kind of weird. I didn't really see any kind of a license agreement text in the field here, but that's essentially what it is. So I just went ahead and you see it's on decline, but we don't want to decline. We want to accept it, and that's pretty much. And that was pretty much it. That got me to this screen here, and I didn't really go any further. And it doesn't freeze. It's not freezing. It's working okay. You can check for updates. No updates available. And I always like to go to About, and verify the program version and everything was installed properly here. Okay, so that's where it landed me. Click that off. And I personally didn't go any further than this. I don't have any PDFs to read, but I would imagine it would work once you get to this point. As you can see, the mouse pointer is actually changing. So if there's a link or something that's live, it actually picks it up and lets me feel comfortable that it's going to work and actually open a PDF so I can read it. So that's it. Welcome to Adobe Acrobat Reader. So that was so this video was about installing Adobe Acrobat Reader on Pop! OS Linux 22.04 using this program called Bottles down here. So, quick little recap. We downloaded the Adobe.exe file from their website, verified that it was installed, that it downloaded to where we wanted to go to install. We checked that we had a wine installed locally. I'm not sure if that was really necessary or not. And then I launched the Bottles program here, and went through the steps to create a bottle, and we named it, and we pointed it to that Windows executable for Adobe Acrobat Reader, and we went through a couple of other steps to get it all set up and installed and configured enough to get it to run, and then launched it with the launch buttons here, run executable, and we were able to install and launch Adobe Acrobat Reader on Linux Pop on Pop! OS Linux 22.04 or a Linux environment. So back in the old days, you probably wouldn't have been able to do that. So this is a good technologies to have for a Linux user. Steam and Proton, Lutris Wine by itself, the wine engine, Bottles. A couple other things were mentioned, Play on Linux, which might be a little bit behind the times now. So between Steam and Lutris, Wine, Proton, Bottles, we've come along. This is where we're at now. So we can run Windows executables in a Linux environment. Okay, so that's that. Okay, thank you for watching, and I look forward to your comments and your feedback. And I'm Paul, and I'm the lead research technician at the How to Linux Research Labs. Thank you. Goodbye for now.